Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen accepted $810,000 in speaking fees from a company called Citadel. Now, Citadel is the owner of Robinhood. Robinhood is where a lot of the people from Reddit were purchasing GameStop stock and AMC. And Robinhood, of course, turned around and banned the purchase of GameStop stock and AMC stock and some others, effectively to protect hedge funds from losing everything. Okay, so the rigging was out in the open. Now, a reporter is going to ask a great question here about a conflict of interest that Janet Yellen has, and look at how White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki responds.
And I had a follow-up on the markets and everything that's happening with GameStop. You did mention, I believe, yesterday that the Treasury Secretary is monitoring the situation and she's kind of on top of it. There have been some kind of concerns about her previous engagements with Citadel and speaking fees that she has received from Citadel. Are there any plans to have her recuse herself from advising the president on GameStop and the whole Robinhood situation?
Well, just to be clear, what I said was that we have the Treasury Secretary is now confirmed. Obviously, we have a broad economic team. The SEC put out a statement yesterday that I referred to, but I don't think I have anything more for you on it, other than to say, separate from the GameStop issue, the Secretary of Treasury is one of the world-renowned experts on markets, on the economy. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone she was paid to give her perspective and advice before she came into office.
So do you understand the answer there? The answer is effectively like, yes, queen, girl boss, get that paper. You know, she got paid because she's one of the foremost experts in the world on these things. So good for her getting that money. Think about how disgusting that is. Why should that be allowed? Why should it be allowed for the Treasury Secretary to get paid a tremendous amount of money from big financial institutions, from Wall Street? See, the problem is, it is a conflict of interest. It does set up an issue where whenever something arises that might help or hurt said companies, of course they're going to make the decision that helps said companies. I don't know about you, but if somebody gives me $810,000, I kind of like them. Am I crazy? I'm pretty sure that's human nature. Somebody pays you $810,000. You're not exactly going to say, hey, you made some bad decisions. You get what you deserve. Maybe you go bankrupt. Go fuck yourself. And listen, I'm not singling out Janet Yellen here. This is how all of Washington, D.C. works. This is how it all works. She was the head of the Fed, and now she's the Treasury Secretary, and, you know, it's the revolving door. The same people that are supposed to be regulating Wall Street are getting paid by Wall Street. Gee, I wonder how tough they're going to go on them and if they're really going to enforce effective regulation. Of course they're not going to. Why are we pretending like there's any other possible outcome? This is like Lloyd Austin, now the defense secretary. This guy took, I think it was over $1 million from Raytheon. Do you think he's really going to make decisions that might hurt the bottom line of Raytheon? No. So if that means, hey, maybe we have to sell more weapons to some evil dictatorships, so be it, because I got to look out for my former employer. The whole system is corrupt. The whole system is disgusting and rotting. And why is everybody pretending like it's on the up and up and everything's cool and everything's totally normal? This is not normal. This is not normal. Just because the idiots who are there have now internalized that system and they think it's normal, that doesn't mean anything except that they're giant idiots who don't understand human nature, don't care about human nature and how it would affect them. Fact of the matter is they don't care. Oh, if we do more war, are one of the elites going to feel the pain? Of course they're not going to feel the pain. It's not their kids going to fight and die. You know, if Wall Street gets another bailout and ends up screwing a bunch of people and their homes get foreclosed on, is that going to affect some elite in Washington, D.C.? Of course not. They're fine. They have all the money in the world. So they don't care because it impacts you. So here we are. Here's a situation where Janet Yellen took $810,000 in speaking fees from the company that is the owner of Robinhood. So when Robinhood says, we're not going to allow you to purchase GameStop stock or AMC stock, Is the Treasury Secretary going to step in and say, whoa, you can't do that. That's clear market manipulation, and you're trying to protect the hedge funds and screw over the little guy. Is she going to say that? Of course she's not going to say that. She got $810,000 from the owner of the company. So she's going to side with the company, even though the company is obviously wrong. They're obviously incorrect. Do you see now how the whole system is a giant joke and it's corrupt? And then they turn around and you're going to see this a lot more, especially in the Biden era. They will use identity to try to deflect fair criticism away from them. So now, you criticize Lloyd Austin? You're criticizing the first black defense secretary. Is that because you're racist? Maybe it's because you're racist. You're criticizing Janet Yellen? I guess you're against women in high positions making money for doing the same job as a man. So they're going to use identity as a neoliberal shield to deflect away all legitimate criticism. And then you have those dividing lines where a bunch of idiots will fall in line and be like, I guess maybe you do hate women, or I guess maybe you do hate blacks. Why are you criticizing them more than you criticize a white man in this position? No, I do criticize white men in this position. I'm just against the corruption. I'm just against the legalized bribery. I don't care who's doing it. I'm going to be against it as a matter of principle. But here, they just deflect it. Forget the conflict of interest. Forget the corruption. Forget the fact she's being paid by one of the key players in this whole saga who's doing things that are wrong and should be illegal. She's one of the best in the world, so she deserves that money, and good for her. You don't deserve to be corrupted. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. The system is so broken. It is so broken. And you really saw with what happened with Reddit and GameStop and Melvin Capital, you really saw just how rigged the system is. People came after me because I used the word cabal. They're like, QAnon uses the word cabal and Kyle used the word cabal. It's a cabal in the sense that it's highly organized rigging. It's not cabal in the sense that there's a satanic pedophile cult. I don't think that's true at all. I think that's nonsense. But what is true is there's a faction of connected elites that are making decisions to protect themselves and screw the little guy, and they're not even hiding it anymore. They're more organized than you and I ever thought they were. I mean, how can you have a situation where Robinhood bans the purchase of GameStop and AMC, and look at that. Hedge funds gave them $1 billion overnight. So they continued blocking the purchase of those stocks. They continued to do it. They were going to ease the restrictions, but then the hedge fund said, we'll give you $1 billion. Just please, keep restricting it. So the hedge funds did everything and rigged the system to protect their own asses and to stop themselves from going bankrupt. I thought the way the free market worked and capitalism worked is, hey, you messed up, you got to pay the piper. Sorry, you made bad decisions, so there are consequences for that. No, they turned around and they were able to rig the system. That's what happened. They turned around and they were able to manipulate the market in an illegal way to protect their asses. It's really incredible, man. It's really incredible. I don't know how this ends. I really don't. But God, I hope that the people on Reddit hold the line and end up knocking out these hedge funds. And now the situation got a little more complex too, though, because now I think some hedge funds are getting in on the side of the Redditors. So you're looking at sort of like a civil war on Wall Street, which I'm all for because they'll destroy each other, and that's lovely. For the love of God, yes, be at each other's throats, destroy each other. I'd love to see that. All I care about is the regular guy getting out okay with this. And they're pulling out every trick in the book. Every attempt to rig this thing, they're pulling it out. But, hopefully at the end of the day, it's not enough. But it certainly helps that the hedge funds effectively own the government. And so just like they got away with it in 08 and 09, it's very possible they get away with it now as well. I mean, remember, guys, you had Wall Street, you had the subprime mortgage crisis in the Great Recession. They were playing hot potato with some toxic assets. And when everything blew up and imploded, the government rushed in, bailed out a lot of the companies that crashed the world economy and bankrupted their own companies. And then the same executives that made the terrible decisions got bonuses with taxpayer money. So the system is as rigged as any system could ever be, period. And that's why you have this populist rage in the country, because it's justified. and it's legitimate. And so now people are more awake and aware of what's happening. And they could try to get away with it again, but I think there might be some consequences for their actions this time. And so originally it was Occupy Wall Street. Now it's infiltrate Wall Street. I'm very curious to see where this goes. I know who I'm rooting for.